Today, I come before you to appeal to your sense of reason regarding the widespread outcry over municipal corruption in Alberta and why, under the current provincial government, this is to be expected.
The corruption here, it's not isolated to Gibbons or any small town. It's all over the province.
Across rural Alberta, residents are fed up with their town councils. They are raising concerns about secrecy, corruption, and irregularities, and are now turning to the provincial government, asking it to intervene and clean things up. But how can you expect the provincial government to investigate corruption when it is itself under investigation for corruption?
Alberta's premier avoiding reporters following a downtown Edmonton press conference. Her fast exit coming a day after RCMP announced an investigation into allegations involving health contracts, government interference, and kickbacks, including free hockey tickets.
I understand that rural Albertans are generally conservative, and people have a soft spot for Premier Smith for a lot of reasons, like her speaking out against the World Economic Forum, standing up to Ottawa, talking about fully unlocking Alberta's economic potential. These are all the things that she is loved for. However, the public that expects transparent and ethical governance from their municipal governments also expects the same from their provincial governments.
I guess I find it distasteful when billionaires brag about how much control they have over political leaders.
Sure, it's nice that she sort of spoke out against the World Economic Forum, but couldn't she have done that without awarding a $70 million sole source contract to her justice minister's relative? Here's a super fast recap for those who don't know.
I'm happy to announce that we have secured...
In 2022, amid a drug shortage, Premier Danielle Smith announced that her government had secured 5 million units of Tylenol and Advil from Turkish pharmaceutical firm Atabey. But that wasn't the whole story. Though it was presented as a deal between Alberta government and the Turkish firm, there was a middleman involved, whom the government keeps omitting from their statements even to this day. MHCare Medical, an Edmonton-based company.
Right now, your government is working with Alberta Health Services and Health Canada on the details and logistics to import this medicine.
Under the direction of Danielle Smith's government, Alberta Health Services handed MHCare $70 million, $28 million of it being paid up front in a sole source no-bid contract bypassing competitive procurement. And it has since been revealed that MHCare CAO Sam Mirage is a relative of Danielle Smith's Justice Minister, Kasim Mohammed Maki Amri.
I'm not sure what you expect him to do. Should he divorce his wife?
It is estimated that firms related to Sam Mirage have received $614 million in government contracts. That's a lot of money. In her lawsuit, former AHS CAO Atana Mentzilopoulos alleges that Danielle Smith's now former chief of staff, Marshall Smith, was pressuring her to favor Sam Mirage's firms in contracts. Marshall Smith denies the allegations and launched a lawsuit for defamation against the former AHS CAO and the Globe and Mail. Days after, the Globe and Mail reported that Danielle Smith's former chief of staff, Marshall Smith, lived in a $1.6 million Edmonton home owned by the sister of Sam Mirage, the man whose firms have made hundreds of millions of dollars through sole source contracts from the Alberta government.
And you can feel confident that we are all moving as quickly as we can so that Alberta families can get what they need.
Of the 5 million units promised, only 1.5 million ever arrived, and the remaining 3.5 million doses never arrived. Yet even today, Danielle Smith and her government continues to omit MHCare from their statements, instead claiming Alberta has a $49 million credit with the Turkish pharmaceutical firm Atabey, supposedly to import alternative drugs. But the reality, that money is in the hands of MHCare, not Atabey, and it's not Alberta's decision what happens next. The scandal has been paraded in mainstream media and even by critics as the Turkish Tylenol scandal, as if Atabey took the money and ran away. The truth, MHCare received the money, and the scandal, it wasn't in Turkey. It was right here, in Alberta.
Premier Smith, in light of the Globe and Mail's reporting on Alberta's Justice Minister, Mickey Emery, being a longtime friend and relative through marriage of Sam Mirage, whose business dealing with the health authority are tied to a lawsuit and multiple investigations, do you believe this is a conflict of interest for the province?
I'm not sure what you expect him to do. Should he divorce his wife so he doesn't have a relationship with the cousin anymore? I think you're being unrealistic. We all have relationships, And the key for conflict of interest is that you cannot make decisions on anything that might benefit a private interest. He has made no decisions on anything that would impact the person you're questioning. So that's why the conflict of interest law matters, is because these do have very clear rules we're supposed to follow. There are very clear things we're not supposed to do. And I can tell you that Minister Mickey Emery is in no conflict of interest.
So how can municipal corruption be contracted when this is what the provincial government is busy with? Sure, it's nice, she's standing up to Ottawa, but couldn't she do that without hiring her former husband's associate to stand up to Ottawa? Let me show you a now deleted video that they don't want you to see.
I'm standing here with Minister Madhu for the province of Alberta.
This was a promotional video shot during Jason Kenney's government's final days. It was produced by the immigration firm run by Daniel Smith's ex-husband and current donor Sean McKinsley, a firm involved in the LMIA business. In the video, you can see Sean's associate, James Carpenter, filming. Standing next to him is Casey Madhu, Alberta's Minister of Immigration at the time. Now, before you watch this, ask yourself two questions. Can any immigration firm gain access to the immigration minister for a promotional video? Do you understand the unparalleled competitive edge such access gives one firm over its competitors?
I'm standing here with Minister Madhu for the province of Alberta, and Minister has some greetings for all of my friends in India and all over the world.
Hello, I am so pleased to know that my friend James is coming to India to sell our great province. Listen, this is the place to be. Alberta is open for business.
So what did Smith do after she took over from Jason Kenney? She promoted Casey Madhu to Deputy Premier, and James Carpenter, she appointed him as Alberta's senior representative to Ottawa. Were they rewarded for giving that arguably lucrative competitive edge to her former husband's immigration firm? After we found and publicized the clip, the immigration firm deleted the video from their YouTube channel the very next day. I wonder why. As for Casey Madhu, he was just formally reprimanded by the Law Society of Alberta. Why? For phoning the Edmonton police chief after receiving a $300 distracted driving ticket while he was serving as Alberta's justice minister. What does that tell you about his caliber of judgment? And what does it tell you about Daniel Smith's caliber of judgment? By the way, he blocked me on Twitter as well. Sure, it's nice Premier Smith talks about unlocking Alberta's economic potential. Great. But couldn't she do that without bringing a spouse to a government meeting with a private company about a mega project?
The Premier is vehemently denying an accusation that she allowed her husband to act as an unregistered lobbyist for a new rail project.
With your interest in rail and your husband's efforts, has this crossed the line into undue influence over government policy and spending?
I've been tired of the rumors and innuendo and slander against my family that I've been hearing about for months. My husband owns a restaurant. He has never, ever been registered as a lobbyist because he has never, ever lobbied any government, including ours, and I would ask for the innuendo and the slander to stop.
A statement from the Premier's office says her husband has a long-standing enthusiasm for rail, and the Premier invited him to a meeting because she values his opinion. Last year, Smith's government laid out a path for a multi-billion-dollar passenger railway master plan. Guthrie was kicked out of the UCP caucus last month following his criticism of the UCP's AHS procurement scandal.
Reason dictates that a person who takes such high risks of facing accusations of corruption, concealment, and conflicts of interest ought to have something worthwhile to gain. Perhaps she took all those risks merely for a VIP hockey game. Moreover, it's almost as if MHCare's existence was meant to remain unknown. The Premier and her government presented the deal as if it were directly between the government and the Turkish pharmaceutical firm Atabey, entirely omitting the fact that MHCare was the intermediary. It was the MHCare that collected the payment, not Atabey. So, when you got a Premier setting this kind of example, well, what exactly do you expect at the municipal level? I've got dozens of news tips pouring into my inbox. Mocha, investigate Drumheller. Mocha, look into what's going on in Medicine Hat. Mocha, check this out in Saskatchewan. There are so many alleged corruption stories going untold. and I am in a rare position to expose them. Help me do that. Donate today at mediabezirgan.com/donate. Your donation doesn't just cover gas or production costs. It keeps Media Bezirgan strong against lawfare and independent from political parties and influence groups. Let me report the news like I did in Edmonton, Gibbons, in Empress, in Regina. If you want the untold stories to be told, help me tell them, because this task is bigger than my shoulders can carry. Shoulder the burden of exposing corruption and speaking the truth today, regardless of liberal or conservative. Donate today at mediabezirgan.com/donate. Have a blessed day, and don't trust the government.